I do thank our guests for joining us. Some of them are continuing with us for a second story, and that of course pertains to what we witnessed in Parliament today. 18th Lok Sabha witnessing a rare contest for the Speaker post, and after a voice vote, NDA pick Om Birla was re-elected. Om Birla was in fact escorted to his chair by both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and even Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi in a moment that everybody cherished. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was while congratulating Mr. Birla for his second innings as Lok Sabha Speaker, hailed his efforts to ensure efficiency, productivity and dignity of the House. Rahul Gandhi, who took charge for his first constitutional post as the Leader of Opposition, urged Birla to remain impartial and give enough space to opposition's voice. The celebratory tone, though, soon vanished as Om Birla read out and moved a resolution marking the anniversary of the emergency imposed by Indira Gandhi, a move Congress MPs shouted against. It's clear that both sides are wrestling to set the tone for the rest of the Parliament session, possibly even the entire term. Just who rules the roost this time around post the verdict. While numbers are with the NDA, the opposition wants to stamp its authority too. So take a look at some of the statements that were made today. While speaking on functioning of the House, Prime Minister said that Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla took some tough measures in his last term, but did so keeping the dignity of the House in mind. Rahul Gandhi, appealing to the chair, said it's important to allow the voice of the opposition from the India bloc because it's the public's voice and this time they have a bigger mandate. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju said NDA believes in consensus and smooth functioning. Akhilesh Yadav, who made a comeback to Lok Sabha, said he hopes suspension of MPs will not happen like it happened last time and chair will be equally harsh on the government as it is on the opposition. NDA ally TDP's party chief and Andhra Chief Minister hailed Om Birla and said that he will once again lead the House with integrity and wisdom. AIMIM said the ruling BJP will not be able to steamroll this time because the character of the House has changed. Debate over Deputy Speaker's post also continued while the opposition says that it is their right to get the post. The NDA reminded them that opposition doesn't follow the same convention in the states that they are in power in. Overall, today there was also a lot of attention on Rahul Gandhi as the new LOP. This is the first time a Gandhi has become Leader of Opposition after 20 years. And here is why this post is key for the opposition, particularly for the Congress party. As LOP, he will be part of key committees that decide many key posts, from the Lokpal to the CBI Director, the Central Vigilance Commissioner. There are also positions like the Chief Information Commissioner and the Chairperson and members of the NHRC, which is the National Human Rights Council. Apart from this, inside Parliament too, the Leader of Opposition is key. The LOP actually functions as a shadow Prime Minister with a shadow cabinet. There's a whole office for him. LOP takes over if the government resigns or is defeated in House. The LOP plays a key role, of course, in facilitating smooth functioning of the House as the representative of the opposition along with the Treasury benches, and as the chief face of the opposition, the LOP actually has the power to scrutinize government papers, including CAG reports and all. The question we ask is this: with this Sansad Showdown that is going on, can the government and the opposition work together, or could it become about tit for tat? Could it become about settling political scores? And how will Rahul Gandhi ensure that he lives up to the post of the Leader of Opposition? That's coming up.
हम सब चाहते हैं कि सदन में आचरण, सदन के नियमों का पालन हम सब करें, और आपने बड़े सटीक तरीके से, संतुलित तरीके और कभी-कभी कठोरता के साथ भी फैसले लिए हैं। मैं जानता हूं कि ऐसे निर्णय आपको पीड़ा भी देते हैं।
Speaker sir, it is very important that cooperation happens on the basis of trust. It is very important that the voice of the opposition is allowed to be represented in this House. I am confident that you will allow us to represent our voice, allow us to speak, allow us to represent the voice of the people of India.
भारत के इतिहास में 25 जून 1975 के उस दिन को हम हमेशा काले अध्याय के रूप में जाना जाएगा।
Charu Pragya continuing with us from the BJP, Sujata Paul of the Congress party joining us, also Sanjay Rana, political analyst with us. Sujata Paul, starting with you, the opposition is very right in saying that they should get their voices heard in parliament and possibly even in reminding the chair that, some things that happened in the last term should not happen this time around. The opposition has managed to come back with a bigger number of seats, bigger chunk of parliament seats, and that should be respected. But my question to you is, when the chair moves a resolution on emergency, why does Congress object to that? You should also have the humility and the dignity to say that, okay, this is an important resolution that the House is adopting and we must allow that to take place.
Today is the day when this speaker was elected. That itself shows that in a parliamentary democracy, the consensus that should have been, obtained or got or managed to be brought about, the government failed to do it. And that itself shows that the attitude of the government will remain exactly what it was, because today was the day when we should have just celebrated the appointment of the speaker. But bringing in a resolution on emergency was not really the most important thing, and I'll tell you why.
But it's falling on the anniversary of the emergency cabinet approval. Maybe that's why.
But you must also remember there are other greater and important issues that the Prime Minister needs to answer to.
No, fair enough. Sujata Paul, he should answer that, and there is time for that. My point is, it was a 2-minute silence being observed on what was a dark chapter even Congress accepts in our Indian politics. The anniversary is falling, the session is beginning. What is the problem if Congress also shows some humility and say, okay, this is a little bit uncomfortable for us, but we, as a responsible opposition, will not outshout the speaker. How bad did that look?
Funny, can I please complete now?
Yeah.
So the fact is that our leaders have apologized for emergency on the floor of the House. But no less than Nanaji Deshmukh has written about emergency and hailed it. The BJP really needs to go and find out why their Sarsamchalak of the RSS, hailed emergency when we actually feel, it was wrong. But coming to a more important point, when this government in the last 10 years have shown the kind of authoritarianism, the kind of autocracy, the manner in which they have put opposition leaders in jail. And you saw what happened to Arvind Kejriwal yesterday when the CBI to arrest him before he could, before there could be a hearing in the Supreme Court. All this goes to show that this government does not really believe in what
all right. I think I gave you enough time now. My point was simply this. Not everything will happen in the manner that the opposition wants, in the sequence that the opposition wants, or even what the opposition wants. You are well within your right to corner the government on this undeclared emergency or other issues when the time comes. But that does not mean you do not let a poignant moment like a resolution and silence on emergency anniversary to go through with some dignity is the point I was making. But let Charu Pragya respond to the fact that there is a habit this government has of kind of, needling or showing down or ruffling the feathers of the opposition just because you have the numbers or you are in power. I think that's what the Congress was indicating, that what was the need of doing this today?
Absolutely not. Good evening again, Shivani. Now, let me remind you and the Congress spokesperson that this was not a needling of the opposition. This was simply Congress that felt guilty because it was this political party which was responsible for the emergency. I'm saying this because their alliance partners, the TMC, their alliance partners, the Samajwadi Party, and their alliance partners, the DMK, refused to stand with the Congress party on this. If a motion was moved and if a resolution needed to be passed on a time, on an era of Indian democracy, which is considered a blot, a black blot on our democratic history, then I believe every single member of parliament should have supported it. Any political party who does not support putting a stop to a time like that. I don't understand what they are doing, calling themselves a part of the Indian democratic process. And the irony is that their leaders were the ones who paraded with a copy of the constitution in hand.
Okay, but
That's
are you willing, Charu Pragya, are you willing to concede that there will not be, quote unquote, streamrolling of procedures in Parliament as the opposition is continuing to remind you?
Yes. So, Shivani, now this question has been posed in various ways on various days. Let's make certain things very clear. One, the elections are over. People have spoken. Their mandate is clear. The Prime Minister has been sworn in. Now, the Congress wanted to defy tradition and they want position of the Speaker. They put their candidate who lost, who graciously lost. Now, why can't the Congress party accept this? The second thing I want to say here is that even in previous governments, there had to be consensus building for passing of very important bills in the Rajya Sabha, if not the Lok Sabha. That consensus building happened happily and properly, whether it was the abrogation of Article 370 or passing of the Women Reservation Bill.
Okay.
Everybody came on issues that mattered. I don't know why there is this whole conversation of steamrolling, because that has never happened. The idea of democracy is that every member of parliament votes. Now, if the votes are not going Rahul Gandhi's way, it means that it is Rahul Gandhi who's undemocratic, not the rest of the MPs.
Okay, I'll come to Rahul Gandhi in just a bit, but I do want to go across to Sanjay Rana also. Sanjay Rana, how do you see this progressing? Pro tem Speaker, an issue was raised. Speaker, a contest had to happen. Deputy Speaker is up next. But even if I move on beyond that, fine, these may be issues where the opposition wants to kind of suggest that, okay, we don't want to give a free pass to the treasury benches. How do you see the makeup of the parliament? Will it impact the way the NDA can function?
Shivani, I look at totally differently. My way or my thought process may not suit to various political parties. But as an analyst, I would say when opposition have a right to demand anything, whether they are demanding for speaker or whether demanding for deputy speaker, whether they have a number or not, doesn't have a number, that is secondary thing. They can demand. Whether you fulfilling or not fulfilling is up to the party, those who are ruling it. Anyway, it's the opposition had knew very well that numbers are not with them and is going to be with NDA, but doesn't mean that they will not demand for the same. Number two. Number three, when we talk about the passing this resolution or the emergency, I would say my thoughts again little bit different. Is almost 50 years back old story. Why we are talking right now? We need to talk about the present. We need to talk about how we can make the things better for tomorrow along with the opposition. Opposition, I'm not saying opposition is doing the right job, but it's the government job to make sure that opposition should come along with them.
Okay. But what do you make of the fact that the opposition's main point is that, listen, this cannot be business unusual for you? Do you believe the numbers are such that they will be able to exact that on the floor of the House?
Okay, number is the one thing, Shivani, but they have all the rights. If you look at the number, obviously it's increased from the previous last Lok Sabha. Number has been increased and they will raise their voice. But for the government, I would say it's a government responsibility and job to make sure that they can take opposition along with them.
As they say, functioning of the House is the Treasury bench's responsibility.
Yes.
I want to go across to Sujata Paul again. Sujata Paul, Rahul Gandhi, first constitutional role as the leader of opposition. Many are asking if he can show the maturity needed in this role, particularly because everything becomes either gimmicky or about settling scores with him. Not every occasion is to settle a point.
I think I take, you'll allow me, I take strict objection to what you're saying. What do you mean he does not have the maturity, or people think that he doesn't have the maturity? He is the person who has been the voice of the opposition. He's been the voice of the country in the last 10 years. If anybody has stood up to the government, it has been Rahul Gandhi. And of course, the Prime Minister, who's in his 70s, made fun of him by saying, "Kaun Rahul." And today he saw Kaun Rahul. He was showing Rahul the way, he was not even looking at him directly. And today he knows that he will be sitting in on all those committees. He will be part of the committees where, and the joint parliamentary committees also, where he will be these questions on behalf of the public, on behalf of the citizens of
Yeah,
this
but there's a
country.
certain maturity that comes with it. There's a certain gravitas you have to bring to that position. Surely he's been elevated to take that role, but there will be greater responsibility with that role, is what I'm saying.
Remind you that Rahul Gandhi is much more senior to Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the parliament, in the Lok Sabha. Don't forget that. He has been there for a much longer time than the Prime Minister. So let the Prime Minister also answer as to why he could not give him respect. But Prime Minister Modi was so scared of him that of course he had to be disqualified, he had to be jailed, he had to be,
No, those were court decisions. Okay, I don't have time for that, Charu. I have 20 seconds left, unfortunately. Very quickly on Rahul Gandhi. 20 seconds.
I'm not denying Rahul Gandhi's seniority in any manner, Shivani. He was born into power. Father, grandmother, great-grandfather, before he was born, he was the king. Who's denying that? But the point here is that the way you went on and on for the speaker's election, you actually filled up all television debates talking about the good points about K. Sureshji, and very respectfully, you were right. Why didn't you name him the leader of opposition?
Okay.
It's because you actually don't really. Okay, sorry. You were saying something.
Okay, I've run out of time. I do thank both of you and, of course, Sanjay Rana for continuing to be with us. I've run out of time. Time for